Today we're looking at Snoop Dogg's Casa Verde Capital closing almost $100 million for a fund. Also going to take a look at the stock gainers and losers, as well as the price index, looking at wholesale pricing and some of the deals that went through. So M&As and investment, all of your weekly wrap up. Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, capital markets analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. So Snoop Dogg's Casa Verde Capital Investment Fund just got a $94.7 million financing or funding round. So in the past, they've invested in companies like LeafLink and Dutchie, Ease, and Proper. None of those are really a household name quite yet. So Ease is a delivery service. They've ran through, I forget how much, $30 million, something like that. And they can't figure out how to deliver anything. So we'll see. Dutchie's getting some more recognition. LeafLink, whether or not they can compete with everyone else, we'll see. And then Proper, not even sure what that is. So there you go, $94 million for that. So some of the stock gainers and losers, looking at some of the gainers for the week. Flower One Holdings up 21% to 16 cents. So like we've said before, it doesn't really matter if it's a penny stock, who cares? Something more substantial like Origin Agritech is up 12.6% to $13.65. Some of the other notable gainers last week was Tilray up 5% to $8.63. Aurora 4.8% to $8 and change. Canopy Growth was up 4% to $25. And then Afria 3.5% to $7. So looking at some of the losers from last week, you got Heritage Cannabis Holdings down 10% to 10 cents. Again, who cares? So looking at something more substantial, it wasn't too bad. Maybe one of the worst was Cannabis Technologies down 4.2% to 67 cents. Who cares about that? Yeah, who cares? All right, wholesale pricing for the week ending December 4th. This is a little bit old, but it'll kind of give you an idea how the year ended in terms of wholesale pricing for cannabis. For a pound, you're looking at $1,534 for the U.S. spot index. Indoor, a little bit more expensive at $2,002. And U.S. greenhouse, $1,400. U.S. outdoor, $922. There you go. All right, looking at the deal tracker, some of the investments and mergers and acquisitions, starting with capital raises. So how much money did cannabis businesses get? Well, transactional activity ending Christmas Eve saw $104 million volume decrease with one less transaction versus the prior week this year, and a $40.4 million decrease with two more transactions versus the prior year. So Viridian Capital, they tracked 5 capital raise transactions totaling $33.8 million versus 3 transactions totaling $74.2 million during the same week in 2019. So the average tranche size was $6.8 million in that week versus $24.7 million in the prior period last year. And last year's figures reflect 2 debt financing of $42.7 million from Green Organic Dutchman and $24.5 million from Jushi Holdings. So the largest capital raise that came to Indus Holdings. It's a vertically integrated cannabis company that manufactures both in-house brands and agency brands for third parties. So they announced a closing of a $34.5 million underwritten public offering. Moving on to public versus private capital raises. All 5 of this week's capital raises were closed by public companies. So far in 2020, public companies have accounted for 81% of all capital raises versus 64% in the same period in 2019. In 2020, public companies have accounted for 81% of total dollar raised versus 69% in the same period last year. So of the 5 public company capital raises, all are listed in Canada, 4 on the Canadian Stock Exchange, 1 on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and all 6 are also traded on the OTC. And then equity versus debt raises, equity-based capital accounted for 4 of this week's 6 transactions and 95% of the capital raised. The largest debt raise happened on December 23rd with Luff Enterprise. It's a CBD lifestyle company announcing a $2.0 million secured loan. So cap raise by sector, the 5 capital raises this week, they were spread across the different industry sectors, 2 in cultivation and retail, 1 in infused products and extracts, and 1 in Bitcoin and pharma. Moving on to mergers and acquisitions, the M&A transactional activity saw 2 completed M&A transactions. That's up from 1 in the previous period last year. The number of completed M&A transactions year to date is down 71% versus a comparable period in 2019. But we pointed out that this week's Viridian Capital graph of the week, the dollar volume and the mergers and acquisitions is down only about 47%, with larger deals of over 250 million being the driver. So now beginning to see acceleration of deal activity that the Viridian Capital has been forecasting. So the largest M&A transaction on December 23rd, AYR, seventh largest U.S. cannabis company by market cap, closed the acquisition of 100% membership interest in Tech. Total consideration of $57.4 million for the deal included $27 million in cash and $15 million in exchangeable shares. All right, public versus private. Starting to see that there's a sole acquisition made by a public company. Year to date, 92% of M&A transaction closed in 2020 have been made by public companies. That's up from 71% in 2019. Particularly with the recovery in stock prices and fundraising ability, public companies have been the dominant acquirers in the cannabis industry, and private companies remain the principal target for acquirers. And then M&A by sector. The two buyers in the week's transactions came from cultivation and retail, as did both acquisition targets.
With that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is The Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out.
Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.